With 5 games left of the Jupiler Pro League, we are currently sat third in the table. We are 7 points clear of 5th place Ghent. We've got to play a couple of very big sides today, and hopefully we can finish in the top 4. Maybe European football is on the cards for next season. Hello and welcome back to Rupel Boom or Bust. If you are enjoying this series, do please remember, hit the like button on all the videos you're enjoying. Hit the subscribe button as well to get notified whenever new videos are released. Also, stick some comments down there. I always read all the comments and I try and reply to them as well. So yeah, please do all those cool fancy YouTube things. Anyway, in between episodes, we've played 3 further matches. We've gone unbeaten, but we have dropped some points. We rounded out February with a 5-1 victory against Liège, bottom of the table, Liège. It was a Mohamed Faye hat-trick. Bakayoko and Gabi are also on the score sheet. I think that was Gabi's first goal for the club. It's taken him so long to get it, and he's finally got one. Then against Beerschot, a 2-2 draw. Piazza and Dudushava were the goals here. We kind of crumbled late on in the second half. And then against STVV, we win this one 3-1. Dudushava, Bakayoko, and Gabi are once again on the score sheet. And as I mentioned, it does mean we are currently sat 3rd place in the table. We are 7 points clear of 5th place Ghent. As long as we finish in the top 4, this is good news for us. If we can kind of close the gap to Bruges, the chance of the title isn't definitely gone, because basically what happens, if you're new here, what happens is at the end of the regular season, the top 4 teams go into a mini league, points get halved, so the gap will be closed by at least by half the points that it currently is. So currently between Genk and Bruges, there are, 7 points? Is it 7 points? It's not 7, it's 9 points. There's 9 points gap at the moment. That will probably drop down to 4, maybe 5 points when we go into this little championship group thing. Anyway, we've got to play Antwerp in our first game of the episode. I kind of want to lose, because if we lose, it means Charleroi won't be getting into that basically European playoff thing, and if we finish bottom, we're not going to lose to them in the 94th minute. Yes, that still hurts me. It's the Antwerp derby once again then. This time we are away from home, returning to our former home of Bosweel? Maybe, I have no idea. I should have probably learned that. Anyway, we're going to go for Alfonso Torres in goal, Dehaney, Gabia, Sio and Antwi at the back. It's going to be Peters and La Rosa in the middle, Schemmer and Piazza on the wings with Faye and Bakayoko as our strikers today. Andre Nize is on the bench. He is not particularly match fit. He can play 45 minutes, but basically Antwi's much better anyway. Androzinho, Ubani, Bram Depor because we need Belgian players, Eden Hazard because we need Belgian players, and he's still pretty good at football, and Joseph Nwachukwu. His name needs to change. Joey Chucks. There we go, because I'm never going to be able to say that. Some names I can get my head around, but that one is going to be a struggle for me, so he's Joey Chucks. He is on the bench today, potentially making his debut. So, just 2 episodes ago, I think, is when we played Antwerp last at our brand new stadium in the first ever game in our brand new stadium. I think we won 2-0, or maybe it was 3-1 or something. We won. We scored a couple of goals. I know that much. So hopefully we can just do the same against 8th place Antwerp. There is a look at the league table. A victory will keep us in touch with Genk and hopefully actually move us slightly further clear of 4th place and then obviously 5th place. Basically get ourselves a top 4 finish. Or maybe not actually, because STVV still have their game to play. It looks like Anderlecht have moved up into 5th place on 48 points. So far here, it's not been the most highlight-filled game. There's been some shots, but no highlights apparently. 5 minutes left of the first half, and literally no highlights. We've got one. It's taken 44 minutes and 19 seconds, and we finally got ourselves a highlight, and annoyingly, it's Antwerp with the ball, crosses, hits Dehaney, and we can get the ball upfield, but it's coming straight back towards us. Dehaney's not paying enough attention, and they can cross this ball in back post, and Stenio is there. There's been one highlight all game, that is Antwerp's first shot on target. It's 1-0 to Antwerp. What a strange game of football. So far, that's just been odd. I'm going to thrash my arms. I'm far from pleased because, as far as I can tell, we've done literally nothing. Antwerp have had apparently 2 shots on target and scored 1 of them. We've had 7 shots and 4 on target and not even seen a highlight until this point. Gabia's there. Gabia's effort hits the top of the bar and Onuachu gets that ball clear. Gabia recently has been on form, and I don't know what's happened. Maybe he's just gone up in heading by like 1. Sio's headed effort goes over the bar as well. Our defenders are our main goal-scoring threats at the moment. This is a worry to me. I'm thinking we might need a change in formation, because all of our strikers don't really seem to do a huge amount. Bakayoko and Faye both on 6-3s and 6-4s. Piazza's on a 6-4 as well. We're not doing particularly well going forward, apart from, like I said, from corners. Onuachu to Stenio, back to Paul Onuachu. He's hit the post. It trickles across the line. It's 2-0. They've had 2 highlights and scored both of them. Don't do the same thing that we did last season. Don't do the same thing. Berate them. Shout at them because they're not doing very well. Faye's on a 6.3. He's coming off, so it is going to be Andrezinho's going to try his luck as a striker today. We're going to take off La Rosa for Eden Hazard, even though La Rosa's probably one of our better players on the pitch. We're also going to do Bakayoko for Joey Chucks. It's a debut for the Nigerian striker. We did have a corner, but apparently those substitutions mean we don't get to see it. It's not a good game, is it? It is not a good game at all against our local rivals. It's going to be a 2-0 defeat away from home. 55 points still on the board. We're likely to drop down, though. Maybe. We've got a chance to pull 1 goal back. Sio was there, and Sio gets on the end of Eden Hazard's long free kick towards the goal. It's 2-1. There's still time, you know. There is still time. Let's go very attacking. Not that it's going to make a blind bit of difference. We've got 4 minutes of injury time. It's just disappearing very, very quickly. The full-time whistle goes. We were the better side, apparently, in terms of XG, and we just don't score any goals. Our strikers have stopped again. My assistant manager, I feel like I need to get rid of, because a lot of the time now, his assistant recommendations for team talks seem to be, unlucky, lads. No, that wasn't unlucky. We were the better side and we just didn't take our chances. I'm not happy with the performance. Let's motivate people. Let's also talk directly at the 2 strikers. I needed to make some tactical... No, what can we say? You weren't at your best and deserve to come off. No gesture. People were still composed and motivated. 10:30 then at night on the 15th of March, and we have actually dropped down to 4th place because STVV kicked their game off late on, apparently, and they beat Cercle Bruges at 1-0, so they move ahead of us in the table. There is still 6 points between us and Ghent. Ghent are a very good side, but they did just drop points against Beerschot. We also did that not that long ago. Anyway, we are now going to go forward towards the end of the season. And by towards the end of the season, you can't even see it. It's there. It's Standard Liège. They are currently 7th place in the table. We have Club Bruges and Zulte Waregem we're going to play in between in this episode. We're also going to play Westerlo, by the way, just after the Standard Liège game. So we'll be back once we've played Bruges, Zulte Waregem, and hopefully we're still in the top 4. Do you remember about this point last season where we started throwing everything away? Luckily, it's not happened this time round. We're doing all right. So we're back just in time for the Standard Liège game, which I think is actually later on today, because it is the 12th, it is. We've beaten Club Bruges and Zulte Waregem. We beat Club Bruges, the 2 central defenders, Sio and Gabia, with goals, and this one from corners. Our strikers don't like scoring goals. Until we played Zulte Waregem, where Mohamed Faye gets himself a hat-trick and makes him basically guaranteed top goal scorer in the league, because if we look at the table and all the match stats, he is at 7 goals, 8 goals clear of second place Badji and Wahid Faghir. So yeah, Mohamed Faye is going to be the top goal scorer in the top division in Belgium. We are also 4 points behind Genk. We are 2 points ahead of STVV. I don't think we can drop down to 4th. So basically, we're playing in the top little group of 4 this season. Into the penultimate game then of the regular season. Standard Liège are our opponents. It is going to be Torres in goal. A back 4 remains unchanged. We've basically played the same squad for the last maybe 5 or 6 games now. Dehaney, Gabia, Sio and Antwi at the back. Peters and La Rosa in the middle. Shema and Dudushava will be the wingers today. That's the only change. Dudushava and Piazza. Dudushava's basically come in and then we've started scoring goals again from our strikers. It's going to be Faye and Bakayoko as our strikers. On the bench, Andre, Nize, Piazza, Ubani, Arab, Deport and Andrezinho. You'll notice there is no, Eden Hazard, that's what his name is. He's currently out injured. He will be back 4 to 9 days, but he twisted his ankle, which is exactly the same injury that Big OD has suffered. Joey Chucks is also injured as well with a pulled thigh, and Gaga Archvadze is out for 3 to 6 weeks with a torn thigh muscle. We've got some injury problems, but I think we'll cope. Now, after beating Club Bruges, you'd expect that our expectations are high. We should be able to beat Standard Liège, a team who are way down the table. We've got an early highlight 5 minutes in. Matteo Gabbia, who I think scored 4 goals all season now, and all 4 of them have come in the last maybe 8 games. It's Shema to Faye. Faye forward to Bakayoko, takes a couple of touches, makes some space for himself. His shot is blocked, and Bodart can hold on to that effort. First chance goes our way, but it wasn't exactly the most convincing shot from the big striker. I have noticed with Bakayoko, and Chucks is another one, and also Andrezinho, we don't have particularly high finishing attributes. I think Bakayoko's is 8, which might explain why sometimes he doesn't score as many as I would hope. Peters with this ball off to that right-hand side for Dehaney on the right. He's got some space if he wants to go into it. He's gone down the right-hand side, plays it forward to Schemmer, blocked. Dehaney's going to keep this alive, though. Crosses in, left-footed, behind Dudishava, back to Antwi. Now La Rosa, back to Antwi. Clinton Antwi, can he pull the trigger into the penalty area? The fullback needs to cross now. He's been clotheslined. He's been clotheslined, but we want a corner. I thought he was trying to win a penalty there. Instead, we have a corner. Little Breck Peters goes over to take it right-footed. It's low towards Seo and cleared. Peters isn't going to chase it down, and it's going to go off for a throw. Looking at the way Standard Liège have set up, I don't know whether they normally set up that defensive, but they're playing 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, and there's 2 central midfielders as well. So they're going very, very defensive, which I'm thinking that they're actually trying to just shut us up. So I've just told them I'm not happy. I mean, I'm not unhappy, but I'm not going to say that to them. Already an hour played in this game. What is going on with this match and this episode, really? Because the first match was just the same. We're going to do a Bakayoko off for Ubani. Ubani still hasn't scored a goal. He still is struggling. Piazza's going to come on for Dudu Shava as well. A couple of subs then. Well, one still to go. Still plenty of time to use it. Piazza, the substitute from Italy, collects it. Now La Rosa, the Brazilian, plays it all the way off to that right-hand side. Schemmer collects it. Dehaney's making a good run, but it's gone back the opposite way to Antwi, who's cut inside. He's dinked it across to Schemmer. Dehaney's behind him. Schemmer's going to try and cross this in. Maybe he's going to try and run it in, isn't he? Schemmer's going all the way, and Schemmer, with a mazy run past a couple of Standard Liège players, puts the ball in the back of the net. That was a cracking, bit selfish, but a cracking goal from the Kosovan winger. He had about 7 chances to pass this ball, didn't he? Takes it round one man, takes it round another, puts it in at the front post. Keeper knew where it was going, still can get a hand to it. It is 1-0 to Rupel. Boom. We're on top in an episode, which I think is something that hasn't happened for a while. Let's hope we can just hold on and not concede a 94th minute equaliser. We're doing a change at the back, which I'm not sure is a good idea. It's not a good idea. Every time I do this, I don't sort my subs bench out. I ask the assistant to pick the subs bench, and he's put no centre-backs on there. Yes, Nize can kind of play as a centre-back, but he's not very good as a left-back, let alone a centre-back. Seo is staying on then. We are going to do Andrezinho. I think we might just take off. Let's take off Peters. Give Andrezinho sort of 15 minutes game time. We have just taken off our corner taker. I don't know whether that was a good idea. Schemmer's taken them now then. Seo's at the front. It's a header clear from Timothy Fosu-Mensah. Schemmer gets it back. Plays it all the way across to La Rosa. Ubani's there. It's a wonderful finish, but of course he was offside. He's still not scored a goal in the league. It's going to stay 1-0. 5 minutes left to play. If VAR goes in Ubani's favour, it won't. He's offside. It is still 1-0. Wisdom Ubani is going to score at some point. It's going to happen. But he's just incapable. That's very close, isn't it? It's a flicker in line. Maybe that should have counted. Antwi then takes our corners on the left-hand side. If we've got no Breck Peters, Seo's headed effort goes over the bar. Our central defenders have suddenly started scoring goals, and I'm not sure how it's happened or why it's happened, but I'm perfectly fine with it. It is a 1-0 victory then against Standard Liège at home. Great performance, great result as well. Ubani's goal, I'm going to say that should have counted. He's technically scored a goal in the league. There is the confirmation then that we are in the Championship group in the Jupiler Pro League. That is good to see. We are also currently sat 3rd place in the table. Any injuries? No. Seo's picked up a yellow card suspension. So we've got 1 game left to play, which I believe is Zultiwargam or Vaslan Beveren. It's one of those two. Westerlo, neither of them. It's Westerlo down in 14th place. I'm going to play that off camera in just a second and we'll return at the other side of this fancy transition that I made. Go! Right, we're the other side of the Westerlo game, and as expected, we have won another one, this time 1-0. Mohamed Faye getting his 24th goal of the season, I think pretty much confirming him as the top goal scorer in the league. If we go back and we scroll down, we now have the Jupiler Pro League Championship group, which obviously we don't know who we're going to be playing yet, but we do know because it is going to be Club Brugge, Genk and STVV. We need to finish 3rd or above. That's what we need to do. We're in this group. Champions League is obviously the league title, which I think is basically Club Brugge. We can't really stop anything from happening there. Champions League, 3rd qualifying round, or some words of some kind. Basically, that's where we want to finish 2nd place. Europa League playoff. I will take the Europa League, and then if we fail miserably like we did last season, we go into the European Places playoff final, where we then have to play whoever wins this group, our Charleroi and that. It is Genk, Anderlecht, Standard Liège and Antwerp. Charleroi are not in it. They are the worst team. I hate Charleroi. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them in real life, but in this game, they've just been my bogey side for so many years. Before we finish this episode, I just want to say that the MLS is broken. The MLS is 100% broken in this save. This is Charlie Patino, currently in real life playing for Arsenal. In game, he signed for Minnesota in January. It is now April, and I'm signing him on a free transfer because he was out of contract. Basically, they brought him in, and then he just didn't get registered because of the registration rights and so on in the MLS. But why did they buy him? Why would you spend £350,000 on a player that you literally do not register, and then he just leaves the club and then leaves America completely and is now on his way to Belgium? I think we've got ourselves a very good young English midfielder joining in the summer. Obviously, we won't get him until next season, but there's a few players like that coming in. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Rupel Boom or Bust. If you did enjoy, do please remember to leave a like. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, ding the bell as well to get notified whenever the next video with a V is released. I will be back next time with a couple of matches from the Championship group phase. We'll have 2 episodes probably in that. So yeah, join me next time where we need to try and finish anywhere but 4th. 1st, 2nd or 3rd. I'll take all 3 of them, but not 4th. I don't want to go into that playoff final mess and lose again. See you next time.